Along with the beautiful fall colors, unfortunately, also comes the threat for frost, and we're now approaching that time of the year where we could be seeing our first frosty morning. And as you may expect, those locations to the east into the mountains usually see their first frost happening a little bit earlier in the year. In fact, for the eastern portions of Preston, Tucker, and Randolph counties, that on average happens in late September. Meanwhile, most of us in north central West Virginia, it's not until early October we see our first freezing temperature, but across southern Harrison, also much of Lewis, Upshur, and Braxton counties, it's not until mid-October that the first frost happens on average. So just what is frost? Well, by definition, it is the formation of thin ice crystals on the ground or other surfaces. It forms in a very similar way to dew that we see in the morning. So for frost to happen, we need the ground temperature to be colder than 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, the air temperature must drop to or slightly below the dew point temperature, and also it's helpful if the wind is calm for frost to form. Now, the intensity of frost is actually related to the air temperature itself. A light freeze will happen when the air temperature finishes at the freezing mark. Meanwhile, we see that hard freeze when the low temperature finishes in the upper 20s, and the average date for that happening in Clarksburg is October 26th. Meanwhile, the growing season will end once we see our first killer frost, which happens when the temperature finishes at 24 degrees, and that usually happens in early November. So now you know. For 5 News, I'm meteorologist Jill Swed.